Some people say I read too many books by women. And to that I say, nah bruv. Every good woman's movement needs fuel, so I just want to start this video by thanking Penguin Platform for fueling this video and making it possible. Yes, that is a fancy way of saying spawn, but aren't we so used to hearing the word spawn and forgetting what it really means? I've also supported them with a pretty snazzy poetry video on their channel, so you can go along and check that out now, or after you've watched this one. Whatever, you do you. So the 8th of March is International Women's Day, celebrating the social, economical, cultural, political achievements of women. When you say women a lot of times it starts to sound really weird. But Luna, you're always talking about bloody women. Why do you... In the grand scale of things, so few women have been published. There's this thing called shifting baseline syndrome where you're more likely to compare the way things are now to the way things were 2 generations before you. So in the grand scheme of that, yeah, we're doing all right. In the grand scheme of bloody everything, we've still got a long way to go. We've still got a lot of catching up to do. We've still got a lot of books to be published to make it fair. And coming from a 2-child family and being a very petty sibling, I just like things to be fair, okay? Now, in fairness, we did get a very bum deal with the first book published by a woman. Julian of Norwich, which could have been a good book, could have been a bad book. We don't know because we had to learn about it through Marjorie Kemp. If anyone has done a literature degree and has been forced to read Marjorie Kemp, send it up. But since then, books authored by women have been getting pretty bloody good, despite all of the efforts to stop us from publishing or writing anything. We're pretty absent from most of history, most holy text. Historically, when we have managed to write, it's through a man, deigned as a woman's perspective, or we just lie. Like George Eliot. That woman had lady balls. However, it does make me sad to think about all of the books and stories that weren't written down and weren't recorded because women were kept illiterate or kept from being able to write things down, or if they were allowed to write things down, they weren't published. And also all the women that have just died in really horrific ways for being women, and we'd never know what books they would have written. In summary, eventually we will stop talking about the particular importance of championing women's writing in the world. That day has not come. Soz. Not yet. You still owe us about another millennia. One of your big questions is always, what feminist literature would you recommend? Lena, recommend me some books by women. In this video, I'm going to give you a whistle-stop tour of 6 books that I absolutely champion, love and celebrate that are written by women, and 6 books that I'm really, really excited to read that are written by women. Oh, so many women. Say women again. Women. Weird word. Now the lovely penguins, people, constantly disappointed that the Penguin channel isn't run by penguins, but whatever, we all have to live with disappointments in our life. The lovely people at Penguin Platform have asked me to include some penguin titles as part of my list, and that was the easiest request I've ever had to fulfill. They let me pick any ones I wanted, and as I have already read and loved quite a lot of books that have been published by Penguin, that was easy. So half of the books featured in this list are going to be Penguin Random House titles, and half of them are just ones from my shelf, from publishers and book people all over the world. Anyone, just anyone. Okay, so recommendations first. Recommendations and then TBR. Number 1, shouldn't come as a shock to you. Absolute Feminism 101, The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. I feel things about a lot of Margaret Atwood's writing, but this is the one that sticks out to me as the most feminist. This is a dystopian world where fertile women are treated as breeding animals and are sent round to be impregnated by the married men in the society for women who can't reproduce. And it's horrific, but so poetic and so amazing, and so many people just look at this and go, oh, I didn't understand feminism, and then I read this. If you haven't read any Margaret Atwood, she is a master storyteller, and this book gave me the chills, and I can still see scenes from it in my mind. It's also really readable, and the font is really big in this edition, which I like a lot. Now, this is not a surprise, guys. It's Callum Moran. I've been reading the hardback. This is the new paperback that's out. Ooh, fancy. Moranifesto is a collection of her amazing essays, mainly written in the Sunday Times, but lots of other ones too. For those of you who don't know, Callum Moran is my favourite journalist. For me, it's just about the skill of the writing. She's so concise. Most of the articles in here are only like 2 pages, but she manages to tell whole stories and weave whole worlds in that time. Her commentary on class is like literally second to none. Get it? Class joke. And she writes essays with titles like The Real Equality Checklist, I Can't Stop Listening to Get Lucky, The Real Terrible Shame of Benefit Street, A Woman's Monthly Faultiness, Why We Cheered in the Street When Margaret Thatcher Died, and other great works. I look at this a lot when I think about the kind of writer I want to be, and I'm gonna put you down, Catelyn, because you're making me. I'm getting a bit too excited about you. You're giving me the chills. I can't concentrate on the other women in the room. This one is a poetry collection I realised I hadn't mentioned before, and I read it last year, and it absolutely floored me. Jen Campbell, who's an amazing booktuber, gave me this poetry collection, and whenever she gives me things, I'm like, I will read that straight away. This is What We Buried by Caitlin Shield. This is the first line of the first poem in the book, and it should just give you like a quick idea of what it's like. The first poem I wrote that wasn't about you was in capital letters, like it was trying to compensate for your absence. I imagine her as a spoken word poet. I don't know if she is. Titles of the poems are stuff like, It Is Not Your Job, The First Word I Will Teach My Daughter. The first word she teaches her daughter is no. A Letter to My Future Son. And it's just this amazing polemic and just writhing, seething. It's like angry poetry. It's like really sharp, angry, beautiful, rich poetry that makes you warm to her, even though you can tell that she doesn't care. Nina is not okay though. I'm not going to say too much about this one actually, because me and my friends Hannah and Lucy read this for our podcast, so we have reviewed it at length there. I'll link that below. This is a great, fast-paced, really simple, like first-person narrative about a girl who is suffering from alcohol addiction, and also is a bit of a, inverted commas, slut. But is she? Probs not. This is an amazing exploration of feminism, where it intersects between sex and alcohol, and she also has a feminist friend in it that's her best friend, and she's not the one that identifies as a feminist, which I think is really cool, and it's actually really interesting commentary on that. So I love you, Nina, and you will be okay. Maybe. Spoiler. Won't tell you. I've talked about this one before, but this is Why God is a Woman. This is a imaginary short story collection of each story is like a paragraph, and they're all about this island where God is a woman and women rule, and it's really weird, and it actually takes apart, it's not like this is a great thing, it just takes apart the kind of dichotomy we have between men and women in our society and shows you how crazy it is the other way around, and then makes you realise how crazy it is this way around. And it's weirdly like, it's what men joke about us fantasizing about, and it's like, no, this is also horrific, just in a different way. And it's I'm never going to be able to explain this book. I'm probably going to just keep mentioning it until I feel like I've adequately explained it, which will probably be never. And then finally, this one, I'm still halfway through, so let's not jump the gun. But this is A History of Britain in 21 Women by Jenny Murray, who presents Women's Hour. It's a really short and beautiful rundown, kind of like in the style of like Bill Bryson or like amazing historians who like make things really relatable and simple, even though they're also not masking any of the facts from you, not making you feel stupid. This is a rundown of all of those famous women in history that you pretend you know something about, but do you? And also the ones you've never heard of. So Boudica, and while she was a feminist, amazing. Mary Siegel, Ada Lovelace, Mary Wollstonecraft, Aphra Behn, Margaret Thatcher. And they have these amazing drawings at the beginning of every chapter. And I just think it's a phenomenal resource for anyone who doesn't want to get bored by history, but still wants to know about it. Gotta show you this portrait of Boudica, just fast. Absolute legend. Why isn't there a Boudica film where Helena Bonham Carter plays Boudica? Questions. Books that I am really looking forward to reading. Oh, can't wait. Now, when I was picking my books, I was basically just like, Penguin, can I have this book? Can you send it to me now? How about now? Can I have it? Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls is a new, very, very short collection of illustrations and little rundown paragraphs of amazing women in history, and they all start with Once Upon a Time, and they're just all about how these amazing journalists and climbers and ballerinas and mathematicians and scientists all achieved things, but they're in this really manageable packaging that you could read to children, but I'm just going to read to myself. And each woman is illustrated by a different female illustrator as well. Oh, meta-feminism. Kate Tempest, The Bricks That Built the Houses. Kate Tempest is one of my favourite poets. This is her first novel. Why would I not read this? I'm so excited to read this. This is the one that I'm like, just started reading it instead of like, carry on with the video. So Margaret Hodge turns out to be an absolute kick-ass woman. I first saw her because she did an interview on Owen Jones's channel that I will link below. And she's now written a book called Called to Account: How Corporate Bad Behaviour and Government Waste Combine to Cost Us Millions. She was the chair of the Public Accounts Committee for like years, and in 2005 quit, and has now written this book about what she thinks we're really wasting money in this country on. I feel like a lot of the time we go, it's probably not immigrants. It's probably not benefits that are the problem. It's probably not, I feel like that's not enough money to add up the amount of money that we should have. And I'm hoping that this book is going to give me an answer to where a lot of the money really does go, and at least being able to participate and maybe start some of those conversations about where the money is going. Because I feel like a lot of the time I'm just turning around and going, I'm pretty sure it's not just foreign people that are the problem, but I don't have the answers, and I want to be more equipped, and I can just tell that Margaret Hodge is a phenomenal woman. Now this is just the one that I want to read because it sounds really funny and everybody says it's funny, and we all like to laugh about feminism. It's my favourite thing. People are like, feminists are so angry and they don't like to laugh at themselves, and I'm like, we are the funniest people in the world and we will laugh at ourselves for years. On the back it just says, can women be geniuses or are their arms too short? Why did we only learn about 2/3 women at school? What are the others doing? And it's just a lot of hilarious cartoons about women that I'm so excited to chortle out on the bus. Then, okay, I'm mentioning this because Stephanie Meyer is a woman that I love, and she's a woman that I really respect the writing of, and I think Twilight was a great series. And I also think that The Host, another book she wrote, is just one of the best dystopian books I've ever read. So now she's written a book called The Chemist, and she really excites me, and I like that she is so mainstream, and she gives these female characters such agency, and I think her writing receives a lot of misogynistic kind of commentary that if she was a male author she wouldn't receive, and I'm a big fan of her. Soz. This is her new book and I trust her completely. I've already started this one and I'm so excited to read more because it's just quality mass market fiction, which is not an oxymoron. And then lastly, I'm really excited to read this book. This is Jess Phillips' Every Woman, One Woman's Truth About Speaking the Truth. I like it because the blurb starts, if you're thinking Jess who, then I'm glad that there was something about every woman and truth that caught your eye. Or you might know me as the gobby MP who has a tendency to shout about stuff I care about. Because I'm a woman with a cause, I've been called a feminazi witch and a murderer and been threatened with rape. The internet attracts a classy crowd. This looks like the essay collection I need in my life, and I rarely get to really hear from female MPs. I always just read commentary about them, and I should probably fix that. And also, J.K. Rowling thinks she's a heroine, and we know that J.K. Rowling is the authority on heroines, so call me a heroin addict. Now, Lane doesn't do a deal without looking after our homies. So, however you identify, you're welcome to go over and watch my sick poetry video over on the Penguin Platform channel. Leave a comment on that video telling them who your favourite female author is, and you could win some of the books mentioned in this video. It's UK only, and it ends on the 20th of March, so you might want to skip on over there if you're a Brit. I'll pop grown-up, adult, responsible things in the description like T's and C's, so go ahead and check that out. I will leave it below. I hope that answered your question. Thank you for joining me again on 40 Days of Questions. If you have other questions you'd like for me to answer in these 40 days, leave them below, and I'll see you tomorrow. This is going alright, isn't it? I'm doing alright. Sisters are uploading for themselves. Okay, frog snug out.